Hey everyone, we're finally back with another video on the trailer. I know it's been quite a while, I'm sorry. I think since we did the Todco roll-up door video, this was the last time I really did anything on the trailer. And the truth is, not much has happened on the trailer since then. Yeah, I've done a few things kind of off camera, mainly on the outside, which we'll go over here in a few minutes, but really we've kind of been in a little bit of a holding pattern. That's going to change in a couple weeks. We're having a big work day here with me and a couple of my closest friends. We're going to do a bunch of work on the trailer and we'll definitely bring you along for the ride. But today what I wanted to do is kind of go over some of the work I've been doing specifically to the body panels to get it ready for paint. So I'm going to show you that. I also want to talk about the paint itself on the trailer, kind of my thoughts on it, when it's going to be done maybe, and how you can possibly help with that if you're good at painting maybe. There's a little hint. Also going to talk about the winch wall that we're going to be adding into the trailer on this workday. The winch wall is the reinforcement needed for the winch to open and close the rear ramp. So we're going to get that installed. And we're also going to talk about the corrugated metal wall panels that you see in the semi, both in the trailer and on the set. We are putting on our investigator's hat and our little monocle, and we're trying to find the correct corrugated metal panels. And again, maybe that's something that you guys can help with. We're going to lay it all out, and you're going to love it. We're also going to talk about the drop ceiling that is going to go in here. We think we figured out a way to put the drop ceiling in similar to how it was done way back in 1982. And there's probably a few other things I'm forgetting, but that should be pretty good for today's video, I would think. All right, so before we get started, I needed to give a special shout out to someone. Now, just so I don't embarrass this person and his wife, I'm gonna change their names. So I wanted to give a shout out to Ned Danner and his wife, June. Ned is claiming to be the #1 fan of the Knight Rider Historians. Actually, I'm not sure if he ever claimed it or if I jokingly said he was it, but for the purpose of this video, we'll say that he said that. And what I'm trying to figure out is he truly our #1 Knight Rider Historians fan? Yeah, he says he watches every video, and he might, I don't know, I think he does. But maybe one of you guys out there is a bigger fan than Ned. Ned's a pretty cool guy. He's a big, kind of gangly, but we all love him. But let me know. Maybe you are a bigger fan than Ned. So put in the comments below. Let me know if maybe you think you're a bigger Knight Rider Historians fan than Ned. We'll give him a little run for the money. All right, enough of that. Let's dig into the Knight Rider Semi. All right, so before we dig into Mr. Semi here, I want to take a minute and draw your attention to the all-new KnightRiderHistorians.com website. We've had the website for a while, but we recently did a major revamping on it. And with that revamp comes all new merchandise. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got hats, we've got stickers, we've got digital downloads. We're also the official distributor of Knight Rider composer Don Peake's episode soundtracks. Now, if you've heard these soundtracks before, they're absolutely amazing. The music was digitized from the original 1/4-inch tape reels that Don has kept for, what, 40 years? 35, 40 years. He started releasing them in the year 2000, did a few episodes, a couple years later did a few more episodes, and over the last 23 years, he's released I'd say 90% of the episodes that he composed. There's still, I don't know, 15 to 18 episodes where he has not found the reels for yet, but we're hoping that changes soon. We'd love to see a complete collection of his episodes. But every single one that we have found has been digitized and is available for download on our website, including some brand new soundtracks that have never been released before, like Soul Survivor, Nightmares, Give Me Liberty, Give Me Death, The 19th Hole, Brother's Keeper, I think Blind Spot, Ring of Fire. There's a whole bunch of them. So definitely head over to nightriderhistorians.com and check that out. Okay, semi-time. Okay, so we're going to start this video with a little bit of a walk around, show you a couple of things that I've kind of been working on here and there when I've had time. So first, I'm happy to report that we are almost finished with the bodywork on the trailer. If you guys remember, some of you that have been following this for a long time, there were all kinds of holes cut into specifically this side of the trailer. There was a mount for a canopy, there were outlets, snaps for a canopy down along the bottom. So I've spent a ton of time removing all that stuff, filling in, patching, priming, all that stuff. So you can see here, these spots, this is where the outlets were. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 total across the top. And that was a lot of fun getting those filled in. So we got all those filled in. I got the holes patched. I got body filler, a skim coat on there to smooth it out, got it smoothed out, and then I spot primed it just to kind of seal it up. So you can see here, really kind of came out pretty nice. I'm happy with how all of that looks. Now, I think I mentioned this before, but you know, we're not going for an absolutely perfect finish on this trailer. There were dents and dings that were put in there during its use on the show, and we're keeping those dents and dings. That's part of its character, it's part of its story. So, you know, things like this down here, this body filler that you see here, that's this human flesh color, I suppose you could say. I think this is all body filler that was put in after the show ended. I think there were dents here during the show. So we might be, before all is said and done, actually removing that body filler to bring back some of those dents, believe it or not. But there was an outlet here that we had welded shut, smooth. Now you can't even tell. There was a hole somewhere in this general area, so you can't even tell. There was a little light that was put in here for, again, after the show. So we removed that, got that smooth. Lots of mounts for the canopy, which have all been filled and primed over. And then, you know, there was skirting down here that kind of covered the whole bottom of this trailer. We removed the skirting, but there were tons of holes in here. So there was a giant hole right here, which is now 100% gone. And then there were little holes all throughout here where you see all those spot primes. So really, really coming along. You can see here all these snaps I talked about that ran across the bottom. These ones are smooth, primed. These ones, I still have the body filler on. I still have to sand and prime those. But once that's done, I think our bodywork is done on the trailer. Let's take a little walk around and see for sure. But I think I gotta sand those ones down also right there. But other than that, they're all done. These holes are all for the winch wall, which we're gonna be hopefully constructing on our upcoming semi-work day here in a few weeks. But we removed the original bolts that were in there. They had been cut. So we removed those bolts. We're gonna get new bolts. Winch wall goes right there. So those are supposed to stay there. And our research tells us there actually was an outlet here on the show. It's really, really hard to see. So there was an outlet here when we got it. So we're gonna get that all put back in and that'll be good to go. So the front, I did get the front pretty much primed. This was the replacement panel, as you may recall, that had the air conditioner in it. So that all, you know, you can't even tell it was ever replaced, which is awesome. This panel is original. It's got, you can see like it's got a few little dings in it, but again, those were there. I mean, that's, you know, we want this to show its history. We got our new wire guide in that was all 3D printed. Absolutely perfect. Up here, you'll notice this corner is black. I was doing some test painting because I was really trying to figure out the sheen on the original trailer. You know, sometimes it looks like it's a gloss black. Sometimes it looks like the gloss has been dulled down a little bit, which I think might be the case because they probably didn't want the cameras reflecting a lot off the trailer when they were filming it. Cause you know, it's this giant like billboard. And if this was all gloss black, when the camera went by, you'd see the reflection of the cameraman. So I think they dulled it down a little bit. Still have some more work to do there to fully confirm, but yeah, hard to see. But yeah, we got all this bodywork done. I guess we do still have this little bit of bodywork. So we got those holes in the belly boxes. Those need filled, sanded smooth, all that stuff. So we're gonna get to that eventually, but yeah, all that body filler needs to come out. Probably all this body filler too. And then back here, we had some more work to do on those two edges of the taillight panel. That's where the new panel married up to the existing trailer, and it needed smoothed out a little bit more. So I smoothed those out. We'll get that primed and painted. But yeah, so that's where we're at with bodywork. So I wanted to take a brief moment and talk to you about the Knight Rider Semi donor wall. I've mentioned this before in a number of the previous Semi videos, but it's been a little while. So for those of you who are maybe new to the channel, I wanted to tell you a little bit about your chance to get your name on the Semi for all of time. As you can imagine, a project like this is incredibly expensive. We are restoring a tractor trailer. More than restoring, we are basically, you know, mimicking what Universal Studios did 40 years ago. The rear ramp's gone, got to fabricate a new ramp. All the interior is gutted, we're putting the set in there. All that takes tons of money. So when we started this project, we decided to offer you guys the chance to help contribute to the restoration of the Semi. Because let's face it, we all want this Semi to be restored back to its 1980s glory, and that's what it's gonna be. And one of the ways we've been offering for you guys to help is by our donor wall. So for a donation of $100 or more, you will get your name placed on a special plaque that we're gonna put inside the Semi. We've had tremendous response from you guys. It's been absolutely amazing. Hundreds of you have donated to the Semi restoration to get your name on this plaque. I think at this point, this plaque is going to be like giant. But originally we were going to keep the donation window open for a little while, but a lot of you guys have said, well, you know, I want to donate, but I need to wait till after the holidays or this or that. So we decided to kind of keep it open and keep it rolling as we're doing the restoration. So if you're interested in getting your name on the official Knight Rider Historians Semi donor plaque, you can do that a couple different ways. PayPal, knightridersemi@gmail.com. That's the PayPal address. We also accept Venmo. We can arrange money order, check, whatever. Also, if you have any questions or if you need an alternate way to pay, you can email us, knightridersemi@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to help you out. But you don't want to miss this chance. Once the window's closed, we're not going to accept any more names, and then we're going to actually get the plaque engraved, made, and installed. So once that's done, it's done. So if you're interested, don't wait. Get your name on the Knight Rider Semi plaque today. knightridersemi@gmail.com. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is painting the trailer. As you can see, we're really close to being able to actually paint the trailer. You know, even though we don't have the rear ramp on yet, that's fine. That's not going to affect the painting of the trailer, really. But, you know, trying to figure out, to find someone to paint the trailer has been kind of difficult, to be honest, and expensive, and all those things. And, you know, we've been raising money for the semis restoration through our donor wall, through our donor donations that you guys have been so awesome in providing. What I wanted to talk about was, you know, there's a couple really, really, really big expenses left for, you know, the finishing the trailer. We've got the paint, we've got the rear ramp fabrication and installation, we've got the drop ceiling, we've got the wood cabinets. You know, all that stuff adds up to a ton. So we're trying to see, you know, what stuff do we need to outsource? What stuff can we possibly do on our own? And, you know, the paint job is one of those things where we've talked about, well, you know, could we potentially figure something out with a paint job? I've toyed with the idea of, you know, just basically taking sections of the trailer, putting a giant tarp over it, like almost like a makeshift paint booth over sections of it, getting it painted, finishing that, moving on. Because the nice thing about the trailer is there's natural seams, right? Where all of those aluminum panels come together, there's a natural seam. So technically you could take chunks and paint chunks at a time. But honestly, I am not the person to paint the trailer. I don't have the time or the skill to paint the trailer. But, you know, the reason I'm talking about this is, you know, maybe there's someone out there watching that is a good painter that might be interested in coming out and donating their time to help us paint this trailer. You know, if we supply all of the paint and the primer and all the materials, you know, maybe you're out there, you're a good painter and you're thinking, I could paint that. If you are, let us know in the comments or email us at nightriderhistorians@gmail.com. We definitely love to talk to you. And of course, you know, if we were able to work something out, you know, you'd get your name prominently on the donor wall plaque and whatever else. But something to keep in mind, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for us collectively to continue to restore this trailer, but do it in a way, you know, that where we can take the funds from that donor wall and maybe put that towards the ramp or the drop ceiling or something else. So just a thought. Again, nightriderhistorians@gmail.com if you are you know, interested in possibly helping. Okay, so I wanted to take a moment and talk about the drop ceiling, because before too long, we're going to be ready to actually start installing the skeleton or the structure of the drop ceiling. Now, there's a couple things that have to happen first. Mainly, we need to get most of the winch mechanism in place. And the reason for that is obviously once we put the drop ceiling in, it's gonna be a lot harder to access that cavity above where the drop ceiling will go, which is where all the mechanism is. So in a few weeks, some guys are coming out. We're going to build the winch wall, which goes on the very front of the trailer. And then the other thing we're gonna have to do is build the cross member that goes in the center of the trailer that's gonna have some pulleys on it, and that'll help direct the cables from the winch in the front of the trailer to the two pulleys that will be in the back here. So still some work to do there, but I still, you know, my brain has been working on this drop ceiling and how are we going to build the drop ceiling. We know that Universal Studios never permanently mounted that drop ceiling in the trailer. It wasn't welded in or anything like that. If it was, we would see clear evidence on the trailer, especially these vertical supports of where it was welded, and there is no evidence of that. Also, you might have heard me talk in the past on in the episode of Airwolf. It's called "And a Child Shall Lead." That was the episode name. I think it was maybe the third season, maybe the second season, second or third season. They actually use this trailer for a very brief scene with an ice cream truck that has some bad guys in it, and the ice cream truck drives up into the back of this trailer. And in that scene, they have the camera on the inside, and you can see that they removed the drop ceiling for that scene. And that was filmed right in the middle of Knight Rider. You know, they weren't done with the trailer, it wasn't after the show ended. So they would have taken that drop ceiling out, filmed it, and then put the drop ceiling back in. So in a previous video, a couple of you guys mentioned loading bars or shoring bars, which tie into these existing vertical E-track slots. So I looked into those, and yes, those seem to be a really good solution. But in digging a little bit further and actually looking at the Dorsey parts manual from 1978, we found these. These are, I forget what they're called, shoring blocks or sealing blocks, something like that. But what it is it's a bracket that locks in to these slots, and then you put wood in here and run across to the opposite side. And this was, I think, a better solution than the steel or the aluminum shoring bars, because what we're doing is, you know, ultimately once we get this structure in, it's going to be permanent. Like, we're not taking it in and out, and it's going to involve, you know, once we get the horizontal pieces, there's going to be ones that go vertically, or not, you know, this way, perpendicular, to kind of tie it all together. And it was going to be easier to use wood as opposed to metal. And honestly, the ceiling is not going to, there's not going to be a ton of weight on the ceiling. Really, all that's going to be up there are these flat LED light panels, you know, 2 foot by 4 foot light panels. So we thought wood going across here would be more than enough for what we need. So we're going this route with these blocks, and it's really cool because you see it has this little spring-loaded locking mechanism here, and they literally, you just pull the spring back, put it up in here, and then it's locked in, just like that. It's so easy, and this is gonna allow us to put the horizontal cross members in like super quick when we're ready. So I went ahead and I've got a 2x4. Well, we're not gonna end up using this 2x4, but this is just an example. We're actually gonna use, they're actually 2x6s, and really, when you watch the show, if you look, the outside cross member piece, you can tell that it's wood painted black. So we'll be accurate in that sense, but we're not gonna use this 2x4 pine. We're gonna use a 2x6, and we might use a harder wood. I don't know, cedar. Cedar's a little bit harder than pine. Maybe oak, I don't know, but we're gonna use 2x6s to go across here, not this 2x4. But still, let me show you kind of how it works. Okay, so as you can see, I've got 2 brackets already in place. That's the exact place of where the drop ceiling would have been. So all I'm gonna do, literally, is just take this 2x4 and drop it into place. Just like that. And this is like super strong. In fact, it's holding my weight. So it's not going anywhere for sure. And of course, all of the cross members are going to be tied into these brackets. We'll screw them in and all that stuff. But this is how we're going to build the skeleton of the drop ceiling. I think it's going to be really nice. And then by the time we're done, all of the bracket, like everything's going to be hidden. It's going to look exactly like it did back in the show. But I think this is going to be kind of the way we want to go with this. Super easy, affordable, all those fun things. And of course, those will get painted, well, it'll get painted black, the ultimate boards we'll put in there. So there we go. That's how we're going to do the drop ceiling. All right, so now let's talk about the corrugated metal wall panels. I have had a heck of a time finding accurate corrugated metal wall panels. Now you guys, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, in the set of the semi, and actually in the trailer too, in the back half of the trailer, the walls had this corrugated metal or metal looking panel. We're not sure if it was actually metal or painted to look like metal, but they were 4x8 sheets roughly that would line the walls, and then they'd have the X cross member across each one. So I did a ton of research looking at screenshots, behind the scenes photos of the set, trying to find accurate profiles for these metal wall panels. And my latest attempt comes from this company, Barrage. And this was Nick Nugent. A lot of you guys are familiar with him. This was his suggestion to look into them. So I ordered some samples, and we'll look at the samples here. I got 2 different samples of the ones I thought were the closest. So here's the first one. There's the profile of it. So this one, it's very close. But the groove, the valley, or the V, really, this needs to be wider at the bottom and not so wide at the top. And then these top pieces are actually, should be a little bit wider. So this one is close, but not exactly what we're looking for. And then the other closest one was this one. Now this one has the wider panels here, but the valleys, this part is too wide, and the profile, it's too deep. We need probably about a 1/2 inch. This is, I think, 1 inch deep. So this also will not work. So once again, we are back to square one, because I think it's really important to get these panels correct, because I don't think they're gonna look right if we don't get them correct. So this is another one of those instances where I'm gonna reach out to you guys. You know, so many times you guys have come through for us finding stuff that we just had no luck in finding. And I'm hoping we can do the same thing here. If not find what we're looking for, find a company that will custom make what we're looking for. So let's go ahead, let's go inside, let's do a screen share, let's look at the panels that were on the show, look at some behind the scenes photos, look at some screenshots, and take some calculations and show you kind of what we're looking for. Then I'm gonna push it out to you guys to help us find it. All right, let's see if we can figure out this corrugated metal wall panel, or at least looks like metal. So we're going to look at some screenshots, a close-up from behind the scenes, and what I think the measurements are of the valleys and troughs. Valleys and peaks, excuse me. So here we go. So the panels in the show were actually 5 feet wide by 8 feet tall. And if you take a look at this close-up here, you can see you've got the high area is quite a bit wider, and then it angles down, and you've got a valley, and then it angles back up, and the pattern repeats. And if you notice, we've got what appears to be screws or rivets, you know, every maybe 2 valleys. If you look up at the top here, you can see there's one there, there's one here, skip one, there's one there, there's one here. So it's kind of random. But from what we can see, it looks like it was kind of almost every other one. Now, we don't know for sure, A, if these were metal, or B, if they were actually full solid 5 foot by 8 foot sheets. I suspect that they're actually strips that are interlocked together, kind of like soffit on a house. So I think personally that these are strips that are like this wide, you know, 2 of these wide, and then they interlock together, and then that's how they put them together. And it would make sense with the way they put some of these screws that they would want to screw them down at every individual piece. This is what makes me think they are probably metal, is it looks like they're bent. This piece is bent forward right here, so it's probably an aluminum that is bent. So I'm betting this is like construction material, like a soffit type of material. That'd be my guess. All right, so here's a close-up. This is a behind-the-scenes shot that I've cropped and zoomed in, where you can really see the metal panels, you know, a nice stretch of them without pictures or people in the way, and see how, and here we can confirm they are actually rivets and not screws, but see how the rivets are every other valley. That's why I think that these are strips, you know, two-piece strips that were installed, interlocked and installed, which in a lot of ways answers a lot of questions and might explain why we've had so many troubles finding full sheets in this profile. All right, so now that we kind of see what we're looking for, and also notice how the valley is not that deep. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but the profile of this is very shallow. You know, it's maybe a half an inch drop there, maybe at the most. So let's go ahead and look at the profile that I put together and kind of what I think the measurements are based on what we see in the show. All right, so this is what I think we're looking for, or roughly about this this profile. So we know that on the set, those panels, you know, in between the black the black vertical divider. And when I say the black vertical dividers, I mean these pieces right here. So we know in between each one of these black posts, this pattern is repeated about 14 times. Okay, so we know this is 5 feet wide or 60 inches, and doing some calculations, you know, a 14 patterns, 60 inches wide. This is roughly what I think the repeating pattern, the measurements are. So I think those high spots are about 3.5 inches wide, and then there's an angle, a very slight angle down like a trapezoid, and then the valley is about 1/2 inch wide. And I think the depth of this is a 1/2 inch at most. It might actually be less. So I've looked at tons and tons of websites and companies that offer these corrugated metal panels, and I have not had any luck finding this profile. I found ones where, you know, the measurements are pretty close, but the depth is, you know, it's like 1 inch deep, which is way too deep. I found ones where the depth is about correct, but this top piece is not wide enough. So none of them look correct. And this is one of those things that we need to get right, because I don't think it's going to look, you know, you're going to be able to tell it's not right if we don't get this profile right. So I'm putting this out there to all of you guys. See if you can find either you know, this exact profile or something very, very, very close to it. I don't care about the color. We can paint it if need be. I'm pretty sure the panels were painted in the set anyways. So either a profile like this, or if you can find a company that can custom make these panels, we're also interested in that. Either one, email us, nightriderhistorians@gmail.com if you were able to help. And we'd certainly appreciate it. This is a big piece. We got to get it right. All right. Well, I think that's all I've got on the semi for today. Sorry, I'm not showing you any work. I'm just kind of talking in this one, but that. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. No actual work being done on the semi today, just a bunch of talking, but wanted to kind of give you an update. We're going to get back into working on the trailer. We've got, like I said, we've got a work day coming up. We're going to build the winch wall. We're going to hopefully start on the drop ceiling as well. You know, maybe we'll get those corrugated metal panels ordered. So lots of good things are happening. We're really going to kick it into gear. And the nice thing is, you know, the weather's starting to change here, and you know, before long it's going to be winter and cold, but now we've got a trailer that's insulated, the roof is sealed, it's got a back door. So now this winter we can work on the inside of the trailer. So work's not going to stop just because the weather might turn. So lots of exciting stuff coming soon. So with all that, I wanted to leave you with one final thought. Don't forget to hug your salesperson today. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you soon.
it's me, KITT. When I'm not out fighting crime, I like to follow my friends at nightwriterhistorians.com. Check it out.